Good morning, fellow Plexers. Today's video is going to be some 4K videos played on the inexpensive second-gen ONN Google TV device, because I've never really tested this device besides using my highest bit-rated 4K movie. So I have a fairly small 4K library, maybe 100, 120 items. And I'm on that client device now, and I've sorted it to show HDR only content and then a second sort of bit rate. So right at the very top is this movie, which I've shown before. So let me start it up, and we'll get a dashboard screenshot of it. All right, so currently, my normal Plex server does not have any hardware acceleration. It's a 14th gen Intel CPU running unraid, and there's no support in the Linux kernel that unraid is using for this iGPU yet. Now, that's a recent change in January from the 11th gen NUC I was using with a mobile version of an 11th gen i5 with the fabulous Iris Xe iGPU. So I haven't tested this new system out fully until I have the iGPU support that'll come with a later update. So right now I've got a little buffering going on, where on the old server I didn't, which is interesting. But you see, this is 104 megabits per second. It's an HDR10 stream, and it's buffered twice. Once initially as I started the stream, and then once more, maybe 20 seconds later. So for a $20 device, this isn't really passing, but it's not bad. So let's test out some other videos. All right, the client app says this is 89 megabits per second for a bit rate. Let's see what happens when it starts, or if it will start. Doesn't look like it's starting on this low end. Well, there it is. So we'll just let it run, see if it buffers. All right, so it's 86 megabits per second in dashboard. No buffering. HEVC main 10 reported. But we do have a transcode going on from 4K HEVC to 4K H.264. And it's a software transcode because, again, I don't have iGPU support yet on this server. Okay, this says 79.2 megabits per second. And on dashboard it says 97 megabits per second. And this one's a direct play. No buffering. All right, the next one is reported as 62.6 megabits per second in the client app. .76 megabits per second reported in dashboard. Got some buffering.
Tomorrow's schedule. Mr. Suzuki at 11 and the task is requesting an audience at 2.
What's this about?
Dinner with your daughter. She says she's concerned you've been working too hard.
What must I?
All right, if it only buffers when it first started up,
Good karma.
I'm not too concerned. And again, this is only a $20 client device.
Some of our gold plan members are anxious.
It's always something.
Today it's New York.
My concierge.
Concerned.
All right, so I think that's going to continue to stream well. This one is reported at 46.7 megabits per second in the client device. And reported 77 megabits per second here, direct play, HEVC main 10.
I know where you keep your gun.
I can't really click on the little eye in a circle symbol like I could on my desktop computer to get more information. Yeah, this seems perfectly fine. 42.7 reported in the client app. .64 megabits per second reported in the dashboard. We do have a transcode. It's changing containers, which obviously isn't resource intensive on this Plex system that actually lacks hardware acceleration for the near future. I'm hoping the next beta update of Unraid gives me that ability back. One more upbeat in the Linux kernel gives me that ability. A couple more adds even better features to it. So Unraid will eventually harness the whole power of my 14th gen iGPU. So even with this container change of a transcode, it's playing fine. Now what I'd like to do is move some of these same movies I'm testing with to the test server on my Synology DS1520 NAS with its 9th gen Celeron processor, because that does have the new HEVC transcoding ability, and rerun this test on the older server. So 57 megabits per second, this is streaming fine, no buffering. All right, let's finish this second line in Plex. Five movies more. .39 megabits per second, direct play, it starts up. I'm sure we won't have buffering with this one if we continue on longer. .62 megabits per second reported in dashboard. And I'm sure it's not going to buffer. If this was an issue, it'd have some buffering already initially. Now, this video took a little bit longer to start up. 86 megabits per second, even though it was reported lower in the client. It is a transcode, which means it's all off the CPU, baby. But it's a container change. We're still at 4K, so we've gone from the HEVC to H.264. And it seems to be playing fine without any buffering. Again, no hardware acceleration on this server. And no apparent buffering. Two more movies left. And again, I just sorted the library for only HDR content and by bit rate. 64 megabits per second. This one's got a transcode 2, container change, HEVC to H.264. And the audio, because it's TrueHD HD, that's transcoding 2, but the audio transcode is always off the CPU. It's not resource intensive. And I think if this was going to buffer, we'd see some evidence by now. Okay, twisters is the last one on the second line. And we're dropping down to lower bit rates now, 27 megabits per second. That's a direct play all the way around. So even with some mixed media here, this has been a good test. Little buffering with my highest bit rated movie. This device has played it before when it was on my other server. Well, actually the same server powered by the 11th gen mobile Intel processor where hardware acceleration was enabled. So let's go back to that as the final dashboard screenshot. Actually, let's go back to it, but on a different server. So I have that same movie on the same hardware under a Casa OS install that I just did. And let's play it off that hardware again in its new iteration. All right, so different dashboard. I'm glad I changed to this other server because we do have a direct play on both the video and the audio portion of the media container. And this was on better hardware with the first test, but it lacked hardware acceleration. And now on a server that has hardware acceleration enabled, it's direct playing. So I'll let this be a mystery. I don't know why it's direct playing here, but it buffered on the other one. So let's just go back to that server without any hardware acceleration and try it one last time. But this time I'm going to start the movie over instead of in midstream. All right, let me get to library mode. I have the same sort going on, so it's at the top. And let me start it fresh. All right, let's get back to the correct dashboard. All right, so that also starts up direct play without buffering. And I didn't think, maybe the subtitles being PGS subtitles are causing an issue. I know Plex has worked hard to not have that be an issue. It's not causing a transcode any longer. But let me just turn those off. Okay, the subtitles are off, but the dashboard hasn't reflected that yet. Well, so this isn't conclusive because it's not buffering at the beginning. I'd have to go back to the other Casa OS server where there's hardware acceleration enabled and advance this further along. All right, so let's get to the right dashboard screenshot. And for good measure, let's enable subtitles. Oh, but this... I have PGS subtitles on the other one, so let's enable those. Whoops. Missed it. And let's shuttle this further along. I'm past the hour and 23-minute mark. Well, I can see the blockier PGS subtitles on my little TV here in the basement. The dashboard screenshot's not reflecting it, and we do have some buffering on this server now. It's not reflecting in dashboard. It was quick on my screen, but it was shortly after I skipped ahead to this point too. So let's see if it buffers again. It only took about 60 seconds for the initial play of this movie to buffer quickly, and it repeated itself again when we first tried the movie. All right, there's a little bit of buffering there. I'm waiting to see if it's reflected in dashboard. No, I don't see dashboard picking it up because it's very brief on my screen. So this $20 device today isn't handling my highest bit-rated 4K movie, but it seems to handle most of them. So it's not a bad experience for $20. Okie doke, thanks for watching and happy Plexing.